Hello, everyone.
Hi,
Hi,
Tosan.
Awesome. I'm fine, thank you. Uh, good afternoon, madam. My name is Tosan Greater. I'll be standing in for Ricky. I'll be the moderator for today's session. It's a pleasure to
Okay.
meet you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Tosan. Nice to meet you and hope you are enjoying your break.
Actually, I'm not on break. I'm actually uh, at work. Um, but yeah, I am enjoying what I'm doing today. So it's one of the things I love doing best. Uh,
Okay, good to know.
I hope you are enjoying the break.
I'm not on break too.
Ah,
I'm at home though. So let's call
okay.
it half
That's
break.
a half break. I totally
Yeah.
get that. I too, I am at home. But,
Okay.
uh, please give us a few minutes to, as people join in, will be before we kick off. People will join in. Once we have a quorum, we'll kick off event.
All right, no problems. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. I can see we have a few more people on here with us. I can see Faye, Yinka, Tilewa, Taiwo, Clinton, Mayoga. Oh, I see that Sharon Faye has joined. Chifo, welcome, sir. Glad to have you with us.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ogamio.
I'm loyal to you. This Oga that you're shouting, I don't understand.
I would not. Your boy is always loyal. I will never hesitate. You have been one of the best bosses I've ever had. I haven't had many actually, but I actually, low key, I don't think I've ever told you this, but after meeting you, I started channeling your style at work. Um,
Oh, wow. Okay,
and
that's a huge compliment. Thank you very much.
yeah, although I must confess that it doesn't work 100% of the
It
time.
does always work. Yeah, I know what you mean. It doesn't always work for me either.
Okay. Um, we have our panelists on ground, and I think we have, let me see how many participants. We have 11 attendees. I'll say we give it a couple of minutes, 2, 3 minutes, and then we kick off. All right, it's been 2 minutes. I think we would have to kick off proceedings so that our panelists can get back to what they were doing. Um, Today we will be talking about leadership and visibility. Well, let me introduce myself. Forgive me. My name is Tosan Mugbeite. I'll be the moderator for our proceedings today. Um, This particular proceeding is an initiative of the Digital Tech Garnet Group of the Covenant Nations Digital Tech Community Group. Our panelists, we have two panelists today. They are seasoned, experienced professionals who have both been in the tech space and have a wide and broad range of experience across different organizations. And I know uh, Shoromfe personally, and I've also read up on Taiwo's profile. Their careers are admirable, and they are the sort of thing that a lot of our members in digital tech, their careers, I mean, would be something that a lot of members in digital tech aspire to. So I would quickly give a brief profile of both panelists, and then we would jump right into proceedings. Um, Ladies first, so I'll begin with Taiwo. Taiwo Oke is a well-rounded professional and business leader with strong competence in business growth and expansion, market research and analysis, lead generation, leadership, data analysis, supply chain sales, corporate restructuring strategy, and process optimization. She's a go-to expert who helps organizations restructure for massive profit and also optimizes business processes with a clear-cut understanding and industry application of supply chain. Her experience spans over 14 years of having worked with tier one financial institutions, private organizations, tech and global giants in diverse industries. She holds a certificate in entrepreneurial management and business growth from the World Bank and Pan Atlantic University, respectively, with an executive MBA at the Business School Netherlands, which she's currently in. Taiwo is a consultant in high demand and known for positioning and scaling organizations for exponential growth and profit. She currently works in a multi-billion-dollar organization and facilitates training sessions for organizations, some of which include First Bank of Nigeria, IT Horizon, and a host of others. We are happy to have Taiwo with us today. With Taiwo, we would also be playing host to Shoromfe Uzoma. Shoromfe is a technology leader with years of experience spanning business development, strategy, innovation, and engineering, working on projects covering multiple sectors across Africa. This experience has seen him lead teams across an array of companies to create and execute strategies aimed at delivering sustainable growth and creating business impact. He is passionate about innovation and its capacity to transform people, businesses, and our society. I say a huge welcome to both Taiwo and Shoromfe. We are happy to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you very much, Tosan. Welcome, everyone.
Okay, so today we'll be talking about leadership and visibility. You know, our audience largely, and I'm speaking to both Taiwo and Shoromfe, our audience are young professionals who have indicated an interest in making the transition into tech as a career for their career choices, or are already in the process, or are likely just beginning their careers in tech. And one of the key themes that we have come to realize in our conversations in the digital community group was that there were certain qualities, leadership qualities, that as a young professional in any career, we need to have and display. So this is for Shoromfe. What do you think as a young career professional? What do you think should be what top three things should be our key focus as a career professional when building a career that would most position such a young professional for being a leader in their field?
Okay, thank you for the question, Tosan. And obviously, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm happy that the number of people were able to join today, given that most people would want to rest. To answer your question, there are a number of things, right? The very first thing that I would usually recommend to people is to build expertise in a given field. It doesn't seem very quickly related to leadership or visibility or things like that, but the strength of your credibility, especially at the earlier parts of your career, comes from your ability to demonstrate expertise in a specific skill set above your peers, right? So, Buki, your hand just went up. Was that a mistake? Okay, so let me just go ahead. Buki's hand just went up on the so I thought she wanted to ask a question or something. So the first step would be building that skill set. Very, very important. The second one would be your ability to work with other team members, particularly difficult team members, right? So how well are you able to collaborate across the organization? How well do people enjoy working with you? If somebody was randomly putting a team together, would they be happy to have you on that team or will they be worried, right? So that's sort of the second thing. So the first thing, like I said, would be skill. Make sure that you actually have a specific skill. It can't just be generally, I'm good at general things. There has to be a specific skill. The second one is your ability to collaborate. And then the third one is, in my opinion, your ability to manage upwards. So how do you manage your manager? How do you manage your manager's manager? That ability to see beyond yourself and understand where they're coming from, why they act the way they do, why they're as brash or brutal or difficult as they are, and manage that towards the right outcomes for you, for your team, for the people you work with. So for me, those three things at the beginning of your career would be the ones that I would quickly flag as being extremely critical. Back to you, Tosan.
Oh, awesome. This is very brilliant because all three things that Shurumfe just said were things that I figured out pretty late in my career at great cost. And so I think this is something that we should flag and identify as a group of young people who want to build great careers. Um, uh, this question is for okay. We are
Hi,
talking about
Tosan.
yes, Buki,
Hi,
please go
Tosan.
ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bukola Ayeni, and thank you so much, Tosan, for accepting to do this. Then good morning to also, good afternoon rather, to our panelists, Mrs. Taiwo Oke and Mr. Surumfe. Thank you very much for accepting to do this. Okay, so Mr. Moderator, I think our speakers probably have slides that they might want to share with us. So I was thinking, just a suggestion now, is it possible that we allow them maybe to present, to have a conversation with us? Then after their presentation, then we can have the Q&A session. What do you think, Mr. Moderator?
Oh, that sounds great. I must have missed it. I didn't get the memo that they had slides. Panelists,
Yeah,
please forgive me.
I'm
Please
sure
forgive
Mrs.
me.
Mrs. Okay, well, Kera that has a slide presentation. So maybe we'll start with us first. Then once we are done, we now take the Q&A session maybe for our own presentation. Then when we are done, we'll now move to Mr. So we'll feel something to talk about with us on the subject matter for like maybe 15, 20, 30 minutes. Then we can take another Q&A session. Then if there are now other general questions we want to throw to them to answer, then we can do all of that. Is that fine with you, Mr. Moderator?
Oh,
My
that's
my
awesome.
suggestion, Buki, my suggestion is maybe you have the talks together and then do the Q&A together instead of having two different Q&A
Oh,
sessions.
beautiful. That too
Yeah.
will work, right, Mrs.
Yeah.
Mrs. Okay? That also work for you, ma'am.
Yes, it does. Yes, it
Okay,
does.
all right. So maybe we'll start with you. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Moderator.
Awesome. Thank you, Ma, preparing slides for us. Please, would you go ahead and share your slides? I don't have a copy of them, so I can't share them on the screen. But if you could,
Okay.
are you given presentation rights to share your slides? Do you have that already?
Sure, I think so. Just give me a minute.
Awesome.
Sorry. Can you see my screen? Hello?
Yes, we can
Yes,
see your screen.
yeah, but nothing is coming up.
Nothing.
It's
Yes.
pink.
Okay. Okay, please, can you project from your end? I sensed this
Oh,
was happen actually.
okay. So the thing is, I'm not with my computer. However, Tosan, if I send you the slide via WhatsApp, can you please help us share? Is that possible? Or click.
I will. No, Clinton. Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh yes.
I'm
Well, I'm not. Sorry, Ma. You were going to say something.
I said I'm still trying though.
Oh,
Is
okay.
this
Please.
can you see
No,
my
it's not.
The
No, it's
screen
not.
is
We can't.
can you see it now?
Yeah, the screen is
Mm,
up, but it's not. There's nothing on it, but it's showing.
Really?
Screen is
right.
showing.
Can you see
So
leadership?
are you sharing your screen or are you sharing a window?
I'm sharing a window.
That's fine.
Okay.
Can you see
It's
it?
a blank.
Okay.
It's blank, so it's possible that um mm, it's possible that for some reason your system is blocking out what you want us to see.
The Microsoft Teams, that's what it shows. It's blank, just white. But if you look at the top, it's your Teams that is showing.
And another thing is if you're using a work laptop, so there might be some security blocking it as well.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm actually using a MacBook.
Yeah, is it a work MacBook?
No.
Entire screen.
Can you see it
You
now?
should.
Yeah. What you can do is
No.
can you
The
share the
screen is
slide
showing.
instead?
It's just blank. It's just that it's blank.
PowerPoint.
There's nothing on it showing yet. Maybe you should move the slide.
Another
Maybe
thing you can do is
hold on.
send the slide to somebody else, and then, for
Move the
instance, you can send
slide.
it to Tosan,
Tell
and
me,
Tosan will be able to present it while you
Have
proceed.
my slide.
Sorry, shared your screen.
also
Okay.
share. I have a slide,
Ever.
so I've also shared this. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah,
Hello.
Okay, I
can you
can
try
see
to
that.
share the slide and let's see from your end?
I've shared the slide with Tosa and Clinton. Anyone that can please help her to share. I've sent it, but
Right.
I've shared it with you.
Okay. All right. Okay, I've seen the slides. Let me try to share it.
All right, thank you very much.
Mac. If you've never shared your screen before,
Awesome.
it's a setting on your Mac. You need to.
Okay. 1 second. I'm going to try to share my screen. Just give me a second. Okay.
Okay, yeah. Just the
Is
first.
that,
You're using a
just give me a
mobile phone.
second.
Yes,
Yes,
yeah.
I am.
Uh,
The experience won't work.
would have been a lot better if you had a laptop.
Laptop.
Right. No. Okay. Give me a second. How's this? Okay, let me see if I can pop on.
Okay, this is good.
How does this work?
Yeah, this is a lot better. This is better.
This is
it's
good.
better
Awesome.
this way.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you
All right.
so much, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm grateful. So can I continue?
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and nice to be here. My name is Taiwoki. Let me also drop this before I continue. So I'm working from home and my kids are home. So once in a while you could hear them, knock the door. They are toddlers to actually come and ask me a question. But it's fine if that doesn't happen. I just thought to tell you that beforehand, before it happens. So nice meeting everyone here. And today I'll be talking about leadership and visibility. Leadership is actually one thing I am extremely passionate about. And I'm passionate about it because I have failed at it severally. That's the truth. I have failed at it severally. Okay, so maybe I should give a brief into my career, career life. So I started from the bank. I started with Bank PHP, the then Bank PHP that turned, Keystone Bank, and then it was Bank PHP. And I started pretty well. I finished my NYSC and immediately got a job. In fact, I hadn't finished seven when I got the offer, and I started with the bank. So, but really, we know the banks then. It was more of get things done, get things done. So you were not really concerned about people. You were more concerned about the task, getting the task done, meeting your target. I was in the head office annex. Then, we had institutional banking group and all those units, FI and all of them in my branch. I was on Adeola Odeku branch in VI. And so it was a very big branch and we had lots of working customers. So we were not, I wasn't so concerned about the people. And my bosses too were not so concerned about us. It was so much about the task. So I learned, I would say that I didn't really learn leadership. I just learned management, how to get the job done. So that was what I knew. And of course, because it was working for that system and that industry, you thought you were fine, not knowing that you didn't know so much about leadership. So, and so after that, I joined other organizations and I began to see that there was something lacking. So my last experience, the one I really failed at, was when I joined another financial institution and I was told to actually lead the business. And let me say this, I am a business person. I'm not a tech person. I just moved into tech some months ago, but I am a very strong business person. So, I joined this financial institution and I was told to lead the business. Yes, I led the business, but the people were not happy with me. And that got me worried because to me, it was more like, okay, so what else do I have to do? We are hitting our figures. We are doing well as a company. Everything is going fine. Why are the people not happy? Why is everyone disgruntled? So that got me really reading. I began to ask myself questions. Luckily, I had a mentor as well. I began to ask him questions. And, I sat down with him and he said something profound. He said, Taiwo, you are, you are a boss. You are a manager. You're not really a leader. You're not connecting with your people. Yes, they get the job done, and that's because of your position. They only obey you because they know that you are the boss in charge anyway, not because they really connect with you. So that got me worried, and I started working on myself. And that's why I say that leadership is a topic very dear to my heart. And I have seen that in my few years in the career space, no matter how much we call that technical leaders. No matter how much if you don't master leadership, you can't go really far. And that's the truth. Because when you get to the executive level, when you get to the C-suite level, there is only a few management skills you need. You don't really need to know how to do the job. You just need to know how to manage people. You need to know 70% how to manage people, if I'm correct, and 30% how to do the job. You don't necessarily know how to do the job, but you need to know how to rally around people, how to build a team, how to grow people, how to develop people, how to make sure that people are happy while doing the job. So that's really it, and that's why leadership is there to my heart. Thank you. Next slide, please. Hello.
Yeah. This is the next slide.
Oh, I can't see the next slide. Okay. So the next slide, yes, I'm good now. The next slide says people buy into the leader before they buy into the vision. This is a quote I like so well by John Maxwell. And it's people must buy into you. There's something called the law of buying. When you get to a place, you don't have to necessarily announce yourself. But people must see your leadership skills and buy into you as the leader before they buy into the vision. I say that for many of us who are coming up or who are leading organizations, the fact that people will stay in that organization and buy into that vision is largely dependent on the kind of leader that organization has. And let me say this, I'll be using a lot of my story. I've actually walked away from a lot of organizations where I see that, oh, I can't work with this person. Okay, one of the things I did recently, there was, I'm just going to put this there. There was a company that was, trying to poach me and all of that. And, we had interviews and I met the CEO. It was like 3 weeks ago. And after the interview, I told myself, I can't work with this man. I told my husband, I can't work with this man. My husband said, why? I said, even from the 2-hour interview, I could picture the kind of leader he is. I could smell it. I'm not there yet. And I know that I'm going to be working directly with this man. So that's it. People must buy into you. And that has nothing to do with how good your work is as a leader. No. Yeah, it's part of it. But really, it's about your personality. It's about how you treat people. It's about how you work together with people. It's about how you can grow people and groom people. I know that in the tech space, one of the things I have observed in the tech space where I currently work is that, for engineers, a lot of their work is about themselves, about them, about, writing this code. Like I said, I might miss a lot of words because I'm not a tech person, I'm a business person, writing these codes and all of that. But beyond that, are you carrying your team members along? Do people know you? Are you out there trying to help people? Are you out there trying to grow people, helping to grow people? Are you pulling someone else up? Because really, business is about the people. Business is about the people. Leadership is about the people. If you can get it right when it comes to people, I believe that you are halfway done when it comes to leadership. Next slide, please. So I differentiated, I put a manager versus a leader here. So I said a manager controls a group or a set of entities to accomplish a goal. A manager is like a taskmaster. A manager just wants the job done. It's good. It's not a bad thing. You want the job done. You can put men to work. It's a fantastic trait. But to get a step higher, you have to become a leader. And to sustain the top, you have to become a leader, not just to get to the top, but to sustain the top. I have realized that businessmen, real businessmen, want a leader to lead the business, not necessarily a manager. That's the truth. They want a leader because with a leader, you can get men to do more. You can actually help the culture, help strengthen the culture, help people to imbibe the culture. You can make the workplace a very friendly place to be. You can make people love coming to work just because you are a good leader. A leader has the ability to influence. You can influence, you can motivate, and enable others to contribute towards the organization's goal. So you can influence people, you can motivate people, you can enable people to contribute towards a particular goal. So I think that to really get to the top in your career and to really make your journey fast, we all have to learn leadership skill. And let me say this, that leadership is a journey. We don't arrive there. I'm a leader now, but I'm not the best leader. I can be better than this. And we can read books, we can speak with people, we can talk to people who are already there. A manager might not be able to sustain the top. A manager can get to the top, but might not be able to sustain the top, because right there, you don't need so much of technical knowledge. You need more of leadership skills. Next slide, please.
On the next slide.
So
Can you
I'm
see
going,
this? Should I? Okay.
yes, I'm fine. I
Okay.
just have a cough.
Awesome. Okay.
So I'm going to be talking about the 5 levels of leadership. Sorry, can I get water? Just a minute,
Yes,
please.
no problem.
So sorry. So I'm going to
No
be
problem,
talking
ma'am.
the 5 levels of leadership. John Maxwell has shared this over and over again, but I think that we can never get enough of that. Next slide, please. And so we need to constantly remind ourselves of these 5 levels of leadership. So the first level, which is the least level, is a positional leader. A positional leader is a leader who people follow because they have to. So, like I said earlier, you are the boss of in the organization. You know, you are the one there. You are the man. You are the leader of the team. You are that is your position. So people don't really have a choice. They have to follow you, no matter how bad, for instance, a managing director is. I'm sure that as long as it's still the one paying your salaries, you would listen to him. But really, it doesn't mean that he has influenced you in any way positively. That is a positional leader. The position will make the people follow you. So the second one is permission. The second level of leadership is permission. People follow you because they want to. Now you have built relationships, people want to follow you, people love your person. They like you and they want to follow you, you've built a relationship with them to an extent. The third one is production. People follow you because of what you can do and what you have done. And I'll call that, a manager necessary, a manager really. People follow you because, what you have done. They can see what you have done. They can see what you can do for the organization. They have seen your works. So your works are speaking, you have results. It's a good place to be, but it's not the peak of leadership. You have results at what you do. People development. So that is reproduction. This is a fantastic place to be. Sorry. People follow you because of what you have done for them. So you are growing people, you are developing people, you are deliberate about it. And I dare to say that we all have to, get to this level. I have also realized that as we journey on the career ladder, the truth is what really gives fulfillment is not the money you are being paid. Is how many people your life has touched. Is how many people you have been able to help. Fulfillment for me is not earning 5 million naira or 10 million naira per month, really. It's someone being able to come out and say, oh, Taiwo has really helped me. I was down. Let me also share a story. Recently there's a guy in my church. I used to lead the care unit. I go to Elevation Church, so I used to lead the care unit on the mainland center. So There was a guy in my church then when I was the head of the care unit. The care unit was, I started it from zero then. So it wasn't, we didn't have any member in the care unit. So, but I noticed this guy, I noticed that he was always just all over me, very pleasant and all of that, a young guy. And I said, oh, Larry, can we work together? Can you join the care unit so that at least let's do what we can do? Let's serve. So he joined the care unit. But then, like I said, because of my upbringing, because of my career journey, I was more of a boss. I didn't know much. So I would give him tasks and say, Larry, do this, write this letter, do this and that. And I must say that the church was one of the places where I really strengthened my leadership skills. And that's the truth. And that's why I encourage everyone to serve in church if you're not. So, Larry will do it and all of that. Today, when I look back, Larry is the head of Surge, is the overall head of Surge on mainland, and Surge is our youth ministry. And sometimes when I look at Larry, I was sharing with my pastor one day, and I said, if I've not gotten anything right in life, mentoring Larry and seeing him grow to this level has really made me fulfilled. I feel so fulfilled anytime I see him because today is a pastor. He's doing so well. He's earning in millions. And he would always say, Sister Taiwo, you don't know what you did in my life. Like you actually pushed me to grow. It looked like you were giving me a lot of work, but I was growing. So today he's up there in church, he's serving as a pastor, and I feel so fulfilled myself. And that is the joy of leadership. That is the joy of people development. Because when you can't buy that with money, do you know how many people Larry can influence and he will also influence? Recently I told him, I said, Larry, you have to go and do your MBA. I don't care if you have the money or not. Just register and let me know where you are where you are registered, And I immediately sent him the link and he has signed up. And that is the joy of people development. Please give me a minute, my kids, please. I'm so sorry. So,
No problem.
and today, Larry is up there and doing well. So people development is key. And the best place to be as a leader is Pinnacle. And, I don't think I've even attained this yet. If anybody has attained this in the house, I really respect them. And it's a place where people respect you, people willingly following you. They follow you because of who you are and what you represent, not because they know, you have 10 master's degree or whatever. They just follow, they like your person. They love your person. They respect your person. You have influenced them so much. You have inspired them so much. And, they follow you. And that is the level we should all strive to be as leaders. And, that's it. So next slide, please. I may need to be faster. Next slide, please.
Oh, okay.
Well, go to the next. So
Okay.
John Maxwell is simply, I don't think we should watch it. I think I've explained it. I was going to play this so that we just listen, but if you still want to play it, you can.
Okay. I think I'll attempt to play it.
Okay. It's just a short video of him explaining the 5 levels of leadership.
Right.
Please, I'll be off for a minute while you watch.
Okay. No problem.
Hello, Tosa. We can't hear what is being said in the video. I think your device is connected to a Bluetooth or something.
All right. So, okay, hold on a second. Let me disconnect it. Let me attempt to.
Can others hear now? Because I also can't hear what is being said in the video.
So, Tosan, usually when you're sharing a video on a Teams call, you actually have to indicate before you start presenting that Teams should include your computer's audio. So that you may have to, when you share your screen, there's usually a button there that sort of says, do you want it to include computer audio or not? Most people miss it out. So that may be the reason.
Okay, I'm back though.
Okay, but if you're sharing from your phone, it may be different. I don't know. But I know that on the desktop, you have that option and it affects it.
Thank you so much. Maybe we should just move on.
I just send the link of the video to you, Bukola, so you can share it on other groups as well, just in case they want to listen after now.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
So let's continue. So qualities of great leaders. So a great leader models the way, clarifies values, and sets the example. So as a great leader, you need to be the model. You're not just dishing out orders and dishing out instructions. You need to set the example. You need to model the way. A great leader inspires a shared vision, envision the future, and enlist others. Let me share a bit of my story. One of the challenges I had then, I would say that God has really been faithful in my career. I've really had it easy, and God has helped me, although I've had a bit of rough patches as well. But one of the challenge I had then was I didn't know how to work with a team. As easy as that, it was a big deal. So, and I needed to actually sit down with a mentor to help me. It was that bad. And when I say I didn't know how to work with a team, let me explain, because this enlist others is a big point for me. So naturally, as a person, I'm very fast-paced. I think it's a gift. I'm so fast-paced that, if I have a book, a big book, I can I can multitask a lot. So I can be doing 50 things at the same time, 20 things at the same time, and I won't get distracted. I won't even think that, I'm doing so much. Yes, I might be under pressure, but not like I won't be able to attend to each one. Do you get it? So, and I'm also very fast-paced. So most times, and a lot of people had noticed, and they were always complaining about it, that Taiwo, slow down. The people you are talking to, you've gone way ahead. You are not even catching up. But I didn't know, it was unconscious. So I can scan through, a slide, and I've gotten the gist, and I'm going and I'm talking, and people are like, where is she? We are lost. But that was it. So, but I saw that it could be an advantage and also a disadvantage. The disadvantage there was I couldn't work well with other people. So I would always leave them behind and they would try to catch up. And I also think that because I am a business person and I studied statistics in my BSc, so I can scan through figures in a second and I've gotten the whole gist. And I'm dishing out figures and I'm saying, okay, so why is this dropping by 5%? Why is this? And people are like, Taiwo, what are you saying? We don't even get it. Taiwo will just be talking and talking. Although they liked me, they didn't like that quality. And I wasn't able to really carry the team along. But along the line, I sat down with a mentor, and that is why it's so great to have mentors, because there are some mistakes that are very costly, especially at some levels you are. I sat down with a mentor and I said, I think this is beginning to be a disadvantage because and I'm very hardworking. I can get the whole job done without carrying people along. I would just It's unconscious, so I will just be doing my thing and everything is done, and people will be wondering, so you achieved it alone. Not because I want to shine alone, but because I'm so fast, you know. And my mentor said something profound. My mentor said, when you have a task that involves people, don't start with yourself. Go around the others. Be the last to actually talk about the task. Hear other people's opinions. Let them show you their work if you're the one leading the team, before you now add your own contribution. And trust me, as simple as that was, it changed my life. It changed my life because I saw things from a different light. It helped me to be able to pause and listen to people. It helped me to be, it helped my leadership skill. I could stay now for 5 minutes and listen, and just listen. Before, I won't listen. I would just keep doing it because I know the answer anyway, so I'm doing it. So, but I think that a great leader inspires a shared vision and enlists others, the ability to gather people, the ability to grow a team. You see some leaders, when you see some leaders, people keep resigning. It's maybe that the leader has something he has to work on, or so those things happen. The ability to carry everybody along and make sure that everybody is involved. A great leader challenges the process, experiments and take risk. Great leaders are risk takers, searches for opportunities, enables others to act. So fosters collaboration. In fact, there was a time I had to save it on my screen on my phone. I had to use it as a screensaver. Sometimes when I'm working on something as a person, when I want to be better, I write that thing on a blank page and I use it as my screensaver. Instead of using my picture or my family's picture or something, I just write, Taiwo, you slow down today. And I use it on my screensaver so that every time I pick up my phone, I know that, okay, so I'm too fast. I need to calm down so that I can carry everyone along. So as little as that, we can take steps to improve daily as individuals. And as we improve, the people learning from us also improve. So a great leader encourages the heart, recognizes contributions, celebrates the values and victories. Next slide, please. So I'm going to talk briefly on visibility. Visibility is about recognition, is about positioning, recognition. And I think that the most powerful stories we share are, our own stories. So that's why I'm sharing a lot of my story. Visibility has nothing to do with getting recognized, getting to the top has really nothing to do with how do I phrase it? How much you know what to do. Yes, there's the part of being an expert in your craft. But I think that when it comes to visibility, some things work. Being out there, the ability to be able to communicate. Some people, like they say, some people know the answer, but they can't tell you the answer. They know it, but they know it to themselves. They are not confident enough to talk about it. So we all have to build that gift of confidence. We all have to build that gift of confidence to be able to stay relevant and visible. It's so, so, so crucial. I had to build it. I'm sure that everyone here too, at one point or the other, have built it. We all have to build that level of confidence to the point where we know that, for instance, if it's an interview, I am going to get this. Or if it's on the job, I am noticed. And one of the easiest ways to be visible, it's to be a problem solver. And not just being a problem solver, because that's what I listed. Next slide, please. It's to solve problems and the ability to be able to communicate it. Because in the workplace, I see so many good people, exceptional at their jobs. They know what to do, very intelligent. but they don't get the promotion. They don't get promoted. I'm not saying visibility is the only way to get promoted, but it's one way to get promoted. They can't blow their own trumpet. It's a major tool. You must be able to blow your trumpet. You must be able to, don't be proud, but you know, there are ways to blow your trumpet. For instance, if you work in a global organization, there are days you have global meetings and you've solved relevant problems, or you know, your team lead in Nigeria is looking for. One of the things I did was I noticed that people don't like presenting. You know, when we have global meetings, I see that, please can you move to the next slide? I see that, you know, because there is a crowd, there are 1,000 people on the meeting globally. People now say, oh, Taiwo, I don't want to present. Oh, you know, they tell my country director they don't want to present, blah, blah, blah. And I own up, I say, I want to present. Not because I'm so confident or because I'm a superstar, but because I know that that is an opportunity to sell myself. That is a strong opportunity to sell myself. So I want to implore us, one way, especially engineers, product guys, and you hear things like, oh, nobody needs to know me, my job is just in one corner. See, the way to position, if you want to position for the top and lead that organization, people have to know you. You have to be visible. You have to solve real problems. When you know, another way to be visible is to participate in profit-generating conversations. It's so crucial. So, okay, there's something I say to people. When they say, okay, they have an interview, I ask them, what is the role? When they tell me the role, I tell them, don't speak to your expertise too much. Speak to maybe, okay, what I mean is maybe you are a customer service person who has risen to the peak, maybe head of, you know, contact center, and you've grown for like 10 years and you are gunning for this role as deputy managing director, for instance. So, and they put the JDs there, the responsibilities, you know, the kind of business they do. They need somebody in that contact center, who has contact center experience. And they say, okay, these are your responsibilities, these are this. And you see that, okay, this suits me. I have this experience. And they call you for an interview. And you tell me, because a lot of people tell me, I tell them, don't speak too much to your contact center experience. Yes, you have to project it, but make it a 50-50 thing. I said, I always say that at that level, CEOs want to hear how you will grow the business. No, see, even if it's going to be based on the contact center experience you have to bring out the points that speak to how you will grow the business. And that is how to stand out in an interview, for instance. Sorry. So in your organization too, what problems are you solving? How can you project it? How is the problem you're solving? How is it contributing to the bottom line? How is it, when do they have profit generating conversations, meetings? Can you appear there and make a one-line contribution? You might be as nervous as, sometimes when I want to speak in global meetings, see, I can drink 4 cups of water because I am super nervous and I am clenching my fist and all that, but I will still speak because I know that at this level, I can't keep quiet. That is the way to move up. And that is how to stay visible. Another way to stay visible is to show enthusiasm for learning. Keep learning. Keep learning, because what you know would reflect in your conversation, would reflect in the quality of your conversation and contributions. So you have to keep learning. You have to keep learning. So when you talk, for instance, someone will say, "Oh, that's fantastic. Where did you learn that?" It would reflect. People think that when we say read a book a week, or read a book a month, you're just, being on their neck and all of that. No, it helps to shape your contributions in meetings, in discussions, in conversations. That is a big way to stay visible. Okay, have a strong relationship with your manager. So this is big, and this is a place where I have failed before, and I would say it. I'm not going to be here talking about just success. This is where I have failed before. So like I said, I can be so fast paced and want to get the job done because of my training in banking. And I just forget that I have a boss and I'm just doing it. I'm just doing it. I'm just smashing it. I'm just doing everything. And my CEO will really love me. One of the things my CEO says till date is, this is when he sees me, anytime he sees me, he'll say, "This is one of my favorite people in the world." I'll just laugh because I know that all of us are politicians. But that's a joke. But the truth is, because of that, sometimes I forget to carry my manager along and want to not genuinely bypass him, but I just didn't know how to slow down. But later I realized that your relationship with your manager is as crucial as your intelligence or knowledge or your contribution in that place. Because if your manager says you are not going anywhere, you are not actually going to move an inch. Your manager will be in meetings where you will not be. So you must be friends with your manager. Your boss must be your best friend. Maybe outside the office, he might not be your best friend. But in that office, you must like your boss, and your boss must be comfortable, very comfortable around you. So do more than you are paid to do. In Nigeria of today, I don't know how anyone wants to get to the top without, doing extra. Do extra, do extra. It's not about this is what I'm paid to do. When I hear some of those things, I just smile. This is what you're actually doing it for yourself. We do it for ourselves, not even for the organization. Because I always say that for every extra you do, you have learned something new. So do more than you're paid what you're paid to do. Then be strategic in your dealings at work. There's people say office politics. Well, I believe in being a master at what you do. It exists. I won't even rule it out. It exists 100%. But at the same time, be strategic in your dealings at work. When you are at middle level, if you're gunning for the top, then you should start networking at the top. People at the top must like you. There's something that says manage up, manage down, manage across. So you must manage everybody. There's a way to dissect the organization. Once you get there, be strategic in your dealings. The leader is not necessarily the one that has the position. Most times, the leader is the person that people listen to. Once you get there, just stand and look at who are people listening to? Who do people listen to in this organization? That person must be my friend, because that way you can make a lot of changes. You can influence a lot of things positively to the benefit of all. And that is how to be strategic, and that is how to be visible. Because once you can walk through people, that other employees love. So once you walk through them, we don't have the time to talk about this. Your work will show. Your work will begin to show, because that person has a voice. That person, when you are their friend, would likely push you up as well as they go. So that is how to be strategic in your dealings at work. Thank you so much. I think I've taken so much time. I'm sorry for that. Thank you so much. That's all from me for now. Hello.
Hi, thank you very much. Tosan. Hello, Tosan.
I think he just stepped out based on that notification on his screen. Yeah.
Okay, his screen is moving, I think. All right. Hello, Tosan. Are you still there? So
Tosan,
we
you can
can
stop
check.
sharing now.
Right.
Right.
I'm trying to stop there. Can you hear me? Jeez.
Hello, we can't hear you.
Oh, can you
Hello,
hear
Tosan.
me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes, no. Thank
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was trying to stop sharing the screen, but I was muted before sharing. So can you hear me now?
Yes, please.
Awesome. Please, Buki, go ahead. You were going to say something.
No, I was trying to call your attention to it that she's done with her presentation so that we can move to the next speaker and finally the Q&A session.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Um, Thank you so much, Ma. I was muted. I'd been speaking, but you couldn't hear me. Thank you so much for what you shared. Your insights were very valuable. I particularly liked the aspect of highlighting how much of leadership is important for progressing in our career. Our educational system treats it as the opposite. The emphasis is on technical knowledge and what you can know. And generally, that's usually the advice, the generic advice that's out there. The next speaker is Shorumfe. Shorumfe, are you there, sir?
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Awesome. Please, sir, do you have slides that you want to share?
No, I don't have slides. And I think Mrs. Taiwoke has covered quite a lot. So I have 7 points that I wanted to share with everybody. I would probably just go through it really quickly in 10 minutes or 15 at, well, 10 minutes, maybe 15 at the most, because I think there'll be a lot of benefit from the Q&A. So rather than spending as much time, I probably would just, I think she has covered quite a lot, a lot of what I would then share would probably be buttressing it and then maybe a few other ideas. Is it
Awesome,
okay
sir.
for me
Please
to
go
go
ahead.
ahead?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Please go ahead, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, hi, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Mrs. Taiwoke, for that presentation. It was very informative, very insightful. Like Tosin said at the beginning, my name is Soromfe. I work in technology, and I've been working for I don't know 15 plus years thereabouts, across a number of different things. I'll share a few things. So what I've sort of put together are 7 key points for your thinking and consideration around leadership and visibility in organizations. The first thing I would say is that organizations differ, um, and while there are general principles that apply, the mixture in which they would apply in your personal circumstance would likely be different. That's the first thing. The second thing that I would also say is that people have certain proclivities, and there is a thin line between um, adapting yourself to make sure that you give yourself the best chance at succeeding in the workplace and being inauthentic. So people can usually tell when you're not being authentic to yourself, and that doesn't necessarily augur confidence in you as a person. However, you can't then say because you don't want to be inauthentic, then you would now not adapt yourself or grow as a person. So I'll quickly run through the 7 points that I think are very important. I've applied them in my career. If I remember any interesting stories, I'll share them as I go along. The very first thing that I like to say to people, um, with regards to leadership in an organization and visibility, but primarily leadership. If you lead, eventually if you do it the right way, you would eventually get the visibility. So the very first thing is ownership, right? The first hallmark of anybody that I would give a leadership opportunity to in an organization is, does this person take ownership? If I say, here is something, go and sort it out. When I come back to you, are you going to explain to me why you couldn't do it? Or are you going to do it and then tell me some of the challenges that you faced and how you were able to overcome them? And this seems like a very obvious and very simple thing, but the truth about it is that that is not the case. Very few people take ownership when they're given responsibilities in an organization. Now, there are certain levels within organizations or companies or what church, whatever it is, where the set person or the CEO or whoever it is cannot afford to put anybody that doesn't take ownership. Why? Because when they give you a task at certain levels in an organization, it is certain that there will be curveballs. And if every time there is a curveball, everything has to come to a stop, and you have to go and look for the person who put you in that position to give you advice or to tell you what to do, then you might as well not be doing the job, right? So it's one thing to tell somebody, oh, can you do a presentation for me or something like that, and you're answering questions. But if you ask somebody to run a branch or to run a region, you need that person to be able to think outside the box, come to decisions really quickly, test out the decisions, pick up themselves when they make mistakes. You need set a certain level of or ability to execute that unfortunately not everybody has. And I'll tell you, there are a few points that speak to the same thing, but I'll use this one to just highlight this. Ownership simply means that somebody can say to you, go and sort this out and go to bed, and they know that irrespective of what happens in that situation, that you will do everything in your power and in your capacity to make sure that the objective that was set out for you is accomplished. For me, with regards to leadership, for me personally, and a lot of the leaders that I work with, that's the number one thing. They may not be able to articulate it the way that I have articulated it, but that's really what they're looking for. And the second one is tied to this one, and I have titled it Give Your Boss Rest, right? And what this simply means is usually you would find the tech sector is coming out of a season where there have been a number of layoffs, right? Um, the people that never get laid off genuinely, except the manager's hand or the leadership's hands are forced, are the people that guarantee that the boss can take a step back, right? So if a leader has a team of 5 people, usually in that team of 5 people, there are 2 people actually carrying the work, or even less than 2. But let's just say there are 2 people actually carrying the work. And those are the people that if the boss or the manager has to go and leave or vacation for 1 month, they know that if these 2 people are around, everything is going to be fine. If any of them is not around, they're going to be calling me throughout my vacation. What you want to design or what you want to become is that person. You want to be the person that when your manager or the person that you report to or their skip level is has to be out or away for a period of time, they feel a sense of security that because you are present, things won't fall apart. Right? Now, I'm giving you these as markers because oftentimes when people are looking for the next person to raise to a leadership level or to take over a position, again, they can give you these are the 10 characteristics we're looking for, the 15, this is the experience we want. But really, at the back of that person's mind, what they're really looking for is who is the person that will take ownership and who is the person that we can actually go to bed, we can sleep with both eyes closed if we know that this person is in that position, right? So the second one, like I said, is be the person in that team, be the person in that organization that the leadership doesn't have to think of once they hand something off to you. That's very, very critical. The next 2 I have titled Step Forward and Step Backward, right? So the third one is Step Forward, and then the fourth one is Step Backward. What does step forward mean? I think that Mrs. Walker spoke to this when she was speaking, and it is the ability to offer up yourself to take on challenges within the organization. Every time that somebody says we're looking to do this, if anybody is available and is willing to has extra time or is willing to take on this additional challenge in addition to their work, we'll be grateful for them to. You need to be able to, you need to teach yourself strategically, obviously, but you need to teach yourself to step forward and take on those opportunities. Everybody knows your hands are full. Everybody knows you're already dealing with a lot. Everybody knows, but strategically, some of those opportunities show up. There's a new department that they're trying to form. There's a curveball that has just come and they need somebody to handle it. Little things like that. And then you give yourself that opportunity. First of all, because they're grateful for anybody who takes on the challenge, it is not as stringent in terms of who they want to pick, right? It's one thing for them to say, oh, we're looking to promote somebody to a general manager in the organization. Okay, send in your CVs or let us hear you. That's difficult. But if they say, oh, the north central part of Nigeria has been very difficult, we need somebody who can oversee that area now temporarily while we figure out what to do. Nobody is looking at CVs for that because everybody understands it's a stretch assignment. There is no promise of promotion coming. So it's actually an incredible opportunity for somebody who is discerning, because you can then step forward, take on that opportunity, and prove yourself at a particular scale that ordinarily you would not have the opportunity to prove yourself at, right? Give yourself some visibility within the organization. And every organization, particularly if the organization is growing, will always have these opportunities for stepping forward. But what happens is that when those opportunities come, people say to themselves, I don't want to take on extra work. I'm already stretched. This work, there's no promotion coming with it. There's no bonus added to it. So why should I bother myself? Let me just stay in my corner and continue to do the work that I'm doing. A lot of the opportunities I have had in my career have come from me looking at different challenges the organization I am working in is facing and trying to create genuine solutions by taking on those challenges that nobody else wanted to take on. The fourth one is what I have referred to as step back. And what do I mean by step back, right? You step forward to take on these new opportunities. You step forward to take on these new challenges. You step forward to take on these ad hoc situations where management is struggling to find somebody who is willing to stretch and do some of those things. However, when a system is running well, even if you are the architect or the person who has created the opportunity for it to run well, the difference between people that are considered to have the capacity and the potential to actually lead an organization, right? Versus people who are just seen as middle management is a middle management person is very good at stepping forward, very good at taking ownership and things like that. But sometimes a middle management person will struggle to allow people beneath them shine, right? Because they're used to being the person who has to step forward. Now, stepping back is where you show that you have the emotional security and the organizational maturity to see that everything is not about you, right? So what happens is that you've taken on a stretch assignment, it's growing, and then you realize that there is a part of it that somebody on your team is actually very good at. And so you go to the leadership and say, I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's this 6th and 7th thing here. I can do it, but I think that there is somebody that I have watched and I have worked with who is actually very good at this. And I think the person may even do a better job at it. So I want to give that person the opportunity. Here is the person's name. Here is why I think the person would be. And I will be there to handhold the person. I'll be there to make sure that they don't fall or falter. But I think that this would be a great opportunity for that person. Now, when you speak like this and when you position yourself like this, the way that people in leadership see you is this is somebody that we can trust to take over. This is somebody that we can trust to take ownership, to drive things. But this is not somebody who is going to get power drunk. This is not somebody that believes that everything should be about them. This is not somebody that we're going to wake up one day and find that we're dealing with an organizational crisis because they lack the emotional intelligence required to manage multiple people. Remember that you're not the only person who is ambitious in that company. You're not the only person who wants to grow. You're not the only person who wants visibility. So while you take on the opportunities to step forward, also make sure that you have the wisdom to make sure that you're given and again, you have to find the right opportunities. As you identify the right opportunities, you're able to pick out people around you who may not even be your subordinates. They can even be your colleagues, but you're the one that has access. And you say, this person is my colleague, and I think this person will be very good in this particular place. And here are my reasons why. The moment you start to do that, you become what you would refer to as primus inter pares, which is you become first amongst equals. Everybody realizes that these are your colleagues, they're your equals, but your ability to discern where they would play best in the team, right? And how the organization can move forward, even in areas where ordinarily others would have given you the opportunity, but you foresee that somebody else may be better positioned to execute on it, and you're willing to give them that opportunity. That actually takes you beyond just being a fantastic middle manager or senior manager or any of that, to somebody that people begin to think of as, okay, this is somebody that can actually lead, an entire division or actually lead the whole company. So for instance, if you think of a CEO in an organization and you think of the relationship between the CEO of the organization and the board of the organization that the CEO is a part of and reports to, the board is not looking for a CEO who is coming to tell them at every meeting that he's the one driving everything and making everything work. No, the board is looking for a CEO who is able to tell them that he's quickly identifying key talent within the organization and giving them the right opportunities that allow them to drive and move the organization forward. So that skill set, the ability to step back, right, to make sure, to the ability to see when it is okay to be in the limelight, but also when it's okay not to be in the limelight and not to be challenged by it or to feel that you're robbing yourself of something. That's actually another important thing. The fifth one is focusing on outcomes, right? Um, Once you go beyond a certain level, there would be a lot of effort, right? There you do so many things. However, what really drives a business is its outcomes, right? If those outcomes are profit margins, for instance, then it's profit margins, whatever the outcomes are. So you have to have the ability to have a ruthless focus on the outcomes. So one of the first things I do when I take on a new role is I distill the role into the one or two key metrics that are most important. And I make sure that no matter what happens under the sun, those two metrics are sorted out, right? Or three metrics at the most usually. Those 2 to 3 metrics are sorted out. Every other thing I can work around, I can try and whatever, but you have to know what are the three most important things for this organization and how does my work speak to them and how can I make sure that I can show tangibly and prove that the work I have done has contributed directly to those outcomes. The sixth one is one that in church we talk about a lot, but it's never complain. There is really nothing attractive about particularly somebody who has been given the opportunity to lead in some capacity, right? There's nothing attractive about them when they start to complain. There's really nothing about. Everybody understands that times are difficult. Everybody understands that it's difficult to manage people. Everybody understands that markets are not exactly the same. Everybody understands the economy. They just don't want to hear it from you, right? So if you need to talk about something, make sure you have a solution at the end of everything you're saying, right? If you feel the urgent pressure to speak about a particular challenge, no problem. But at the levels of leadership, if you're looking to get the right type of visibility, then at the end of pointing out what the challenge is, you had better be pointing out the solution. If you don't have a solution to point out, then keep your mouth shut about complaining about what the issue is, right? If you think it's outside of your capacity to resolve the problem and you want to point out the problem, then you have to find a positive way to spin it, right? You can say, here is a challenge that I think if we fix, we can grow our revenues by 3x over the next 3 years, right? So that's a way to frame it versus just generally complaining about things that are very obvious and people know about. Typically, people who complain in that way, they may be good at their jobs and maybe people are willing to tolerate them, but that's what people will do. They will tolerate you. And any day they have an alternative to you in that position, you would probably be looking for a job. The final thing would be I'd speak about is, and I talked about this. I think I had another session at the Yaba Church. Is any gathering of more than 2 people will have politics involved, right? Don't deceive yourself. Whether it's church, whether it's whatever it is, there'll be politics involved. My recommendation based on my experience is do not play politics. However, you must be fully and totally aware of it, right? You cannot be ignorant of it. Don't play the game, but understand the game. Make sure you really understand it. If people start talking to you, if people start asking for things, if people start positioning or posturing, you need to be able to accurately interpret exactly what they're doing, why they're doing it, and where they're going. That way, you put yourself in a position to be able to manage them, to manage the situation, not to get burnt. The way I would put it is you may not know, you may not be interested in Potiphar's wife being your girlfriend, but you must know that the way Potiphar's wife looked at you yesterday evening meant that there is a problem on hand. That way, you're not looking for a window to jump out of, right? So whatever the situation is, you really need to understand what is going on in the organization. I give examples of myself. There have been many times when things were going on, and I'll tell somebody in the next 2 to 3 months, this is what is going to happen. And precisely what I say plays out in the organization. And they come and say, how did you know? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, just pay attention. You really need to understand over time how these things happen. The reason you need to understand that is, as you become a leader in an organization, there are people that depend on you, right? It's okay for you to say, oh, I go to Covenant Nation, I can pray no matter the situation. No problem. You can pray and you will be fine. But what of the other 30 people that report into you, right? So the reason that you need to be aware of it is that as you get higher in an organization, there are people whose jobs and livelihoods depend on your ability to navigate organizational politics and retain your position, right? So you cannot just be naive going about, because as you rise in an organization, the cost of being ignorant and naive goes beyond you, right? It goes beyond you and starts to affect other people around you, people who report into you, people who are your colleagues. So you have to be aware so that you're better able to position yourself in the right way, irrespective of the political currents, without necessarily being a part of it, without necessarily throwing your hat into the ring to play it in one way or the other. I actually don't believe in playing that politics, but you must, again, I will repeat it, you must be aware of it. You must understand how it functions within your organization. You must understand the implications of certain decisions. You must understand why certain decisions have been taken and how to position yourself, either to avoid impending disaster or to take advantage of a new scenario that has now played out because of a decision that the leader of your organization has taken. So at this point, I just stop here. Those are the 7 things I wanted to share with you rather very quickly. And I guess we can move to the Q&A.
Oh, thank you so much, Turumfe. Thank you, Mrs. Oket. Mr. Moderator, Tosan. Hello, Tosan, can you hear me? Okay, so I hope we all have been able to learn 1 or 2 things. So while we wait for Mr. Moderator to join us, I might have to jump in here to assist him until he comes back. So I would like all of us to go to the chat to drop the things we've learned from the 2 sessions today. I tell you, if we are to pay them, you might have to pay them in dollars. I know how much that will be when you have to convert it to naira. So we so much appreciate this. We are not taking this for granted at all, and it is recorded. So once we are done, I'll share the link to download, or I might upload it to a YouTube platform and share the link so that all of us can have access to it now and in the future. Thank you very much, Mrs. Taiwo Oke and Toronfe. Thank you very kindly. So let's drop in the chat the things you have learned from the session. Likewise, your questions, if you have questions you want to ask, kindly unmute or drop it in the chat so that we can read it out and we get it answered. I believe we shouldn't be the regular Nigerian student that they will ask any question and everybody will say no question. No, we are not like that kind of people. We are different. We are smart and intelligent people that ask smart questions. So any question at all for okay, sorry, Tosan, are you back? Hello, Tosan. I
Can
saw
you hear
your
me?
chat. Yes, I like to hand over to the Mr. Moderator here. Thank you,
Oh yes,
Tosan.
I'm sorry. I had a slight technical issue with my mic. I was speaking, but I couldn't be heard. So thank you so much, Buki. Thank you, everybody. Shorumfe, I was taking it very eagerly because you are my direct supervisor on 1 or 2 in a couple of fora, and I'm seeing the things you are expecting from me. Thank you so much. I think I have a question because while both speakers were sharing their thoughts,
I was seeing all the mistakes that I made earlier on in my career. Like um, Mrs. Taiwo okay said earlier, I was this exact same way. And because I worked for myself, I had nobody to tell me that I was that way until I got serious pushback from international organizations. So here's the question I do have, and this is for both moderators, but I would like to hear your perspectives on it. There's a subtext of an unspoken subtext in the points that you are giving of the assumption being that if you do the following things, it would necessarily give positive outcomes. But in experience, in my experience, it often doesn't turn out that way. What as what would you have? What word of advice would you have for a young person who may have done their best to do the following things, all the things you've listed, and still do not have positive outcomes in terms of their career moving forward? So, for example, they have a direct supervisor who just generally hates them, not because they didn't manage the person well, but probably because the person is self-conscious, or the person is small-minded and generally doesn't want this their younger colleague and protege, better talented colleague to progress. What would you give as advice in that scenario? First, as a general context, and then specifically in this case. Uh, this is for you, Mrs. Taiwo. Please, if you are online, please respond. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Soronfe. That was a fantastic presentation. Very fantastic. And I had to jot down points as well. So thank you. Thank you for the question. So what I would say is, number one, nothing is cast in stone. So organizations differ and bosses differ. But the first thing I would say is, you need to study your organization, and you also need to study your boss. So critical. Study your organization and study your boss. And you need to learn how to manage your boss. So when I hear conversations like, my boss is so difficult, my God, I get it. Yes, it's really, sometimes it's true. Sometimes it's because you have really not learned how to manage your boss. Your boss is not difficult to his wife now, or his or his kids. So, but there is a way you can study a person, that you can crack them. There are things that break and crack them. And when I say break, not the negative way, that you can penetrate. So I think the person has to do that. Again, I think that leadership is very dynamic. Leadership is very dynamic. And you need to study your organization. I am emphasizing that. Because see, okay, so I've also once worked with a difficult boss. When I say difficult, this wasn't even difficult because he won't get you promoted and all that, but because he just doesn't want you to shine. He's so, how do I put it? But he just doesn't want you to shine. But that's why I say the way you maneuver in your organization, you need to. These things are really not thought. But I'm sure that when you pay attention well in your organization, there are ways to maneuver. So one of the ways to maneuver is, see, you can showcase your work through other leaders. I don't know how best to put it, but I understand what I'm saying. So, okay, so for instance, I report to a boss in Nigeria. For instance, this is an example. It has nothing to do with my workplace, who is difficult. And I have a dotted line reporting to another person in maybe London or US. because my company is a global company. So I know that this is my Nigerian boss. I've managed him and managed him, but you can't be managed. There are ways that, and without my Nigerian boss getting offended, there are ways that I can stylishly showcase myself through my global boss, and I'm not committing any offense because I both report to both of them anyway. So you can there are ways around it, and that's why it's so important to understand how you organize the network in your organization, how your organization is wired, how the organogram. You study it and you see, okay, there is always a way. There is always a way. And there are ways that, and when you have emotional intelligence, there is a way you can maneuver and people, nobody will get offended. So I think that to that person, you need a lot of wisdom. You need a lot of wisdom. Wisdom is so important because the truth is we are always not to get pleasant people. We would always work with pleasant people, sorry. So but we must understand that there are ways to play it, and there are ways to go. There are ways to, you know, maneuver, and so that's it. There's no yes or no answer to how you are going to do it. But if you can study your organization well, if you can start, I can, for instance, if we're in the same organization, I'm sure that the person may not get promoted, or and the next person to the person can be getting promoted every year, and they are both, it's still the same boss. So there's a way you can leverage other leaders, leverage other people, and you can still get what you want to, get. So that's how I will answer it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you so much, man. Shurumfe, do you have a response to that question?
So much the same, right? I don't genuinely, and I think maybe we had a side conversation about this. There are difficult bosses everywhere, right? One of the things I encourage much younger people with is I say do hard things, right? Find hard things and do them, because if you solve a hard problem, it's very difficult for any other person to solve it, right? So the person who is a difficult manager became a manager for certain reasons. There's somebody somewhere that believes that person should be your manager or is good enough to be a manager. If that person is a very difficult boss, if you become the person that cracks them, quote and unquote, that cracks their code, quote and unquote, you can't imagine how grateful they will be. They may be difficult. They may even be aware that they're difficult, right? But finding somebody who can make work with them, they know that you're difficult to find, right? Because they know how difficult they are as people. So you can find that, and I'm sure if you look at maybe even the banking industry, you'll find examples of it. You have a very difficult person, and then there is this one guy or girl on their team that they've moved 6 times across 4 organizations, and they've taken that person along with them across those 4 organizations. And that person who started as an ET 6 years ago is now an assistant manager, just on the back of the fact that they are able to work with this very difficult person, and this very difficult person is moving forward with their career. So if you have a difficult boss, running away from that difficult boss is the easiest thing to do. You resign and you go to another organization. It's so easy, right? There is nothing there. But sometimes when you challenge yourself to actually apply yourself a bit more, okay, why is this person difficult? What's the challenge? What is it that they're looking for? And again, you have to be strategic. I'm not saying if you have any random difficult boss, go and put in work to try and figure out how to work with them. If the person is difficult and also unable to manage their own superiors, don't bring anything to the table, don't deliver on outcomes in the organization, then they're not heading anywhere. But if you notice that this is somebody who is respected by the senior leadership of your organization, this is somebody who controls resources, who seems to be doing well in their career, but somehow everybody that works for them considers them to be difficult, there may be an opportunity there. So my encouragement would be to sit down and figure out, you know what, how can I make it work with this person, and apply yourself. Because another thing that you will realize is once you figure out how to work with a difficult boss, you end up coasting for the rest of your career because it doesn't get any worse than that. So if you have a great boss, you would be able to do that in your sleep. If you have another difficult boss, you've done it before, you can take it in your stride. There are some people that if they don't have a boss that is, always rubbing oil on their head and praising them every day and all of that, they can't function because that's how they've worked all their career. They've always had amazing people taking care of them and loving them and telling them you can take 2 days off because you have a cold and all of that. And there's nothing wrong with that, but they never grow the muscle that enables them to work in a difficult or in a hostile environment. And that muscle is a good muscle to have because at some point, again, the higher you rise, at some point, you're going to deal with hostile people. If you become the CEO of a company, you're going to sit on a board. A board, by definition, will be political. There will be people who don't want you there. There will be people who had candidates for the position you have taken. There will be people who have your replacement on hand. And you have to be able to work with them and keep them on you and find a way to get the organization to move forward, right? So I hear it about difficult bosses, but you have to find a way. Running away usually doesn't solve that problem because eventually you come around to meet the same challenge again.
Thank you so much, Sharon Faye. This is a very powerful thing. There's no way out, but we have to go through it. Thank you so much. And thank you, Mrs. Okay, for your contribution as well. I'm truly appreciative of both of you. I think Samuel had his hand up. Samuel, are you there?
Hi, Tosin. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Oh,
Please go
great.
ahead.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Surumfe, and thank you, Mrs. Taiwo. Yeah, thank you. I just want to add to what Mrs. Taiwo was trying to explain something, and I would like to just add my own experience. When I came from Nigeria to join the London team, it was like what she was saying. You're working from the way I work. They had projects lined up. They had a lot of things not done. So I came in. I started putting, timeline to all the projects and things they couldn't do in 5 months. I was able to do in, let's say, 3 weeks. So my boss had this envy. He's my boss, but he already felt like this guy came to collect his job. So I had some serious issues the first 3 months in London. So when I spoke to my mentor, he said, "See, the first thing you do is the 48 laws of power. Never outshine the boss. Never. So you have to look for how to manage him. Two, every project I do now, I do it as if it's coming from him. But actually, my superior, who is the global IT um, manager, knows this is coming from Sam, right? So I just want to chip in that there's a way around one of them. Sometimes you make it look like it's it's like it's their advice. There's some projects I want to do. There are some ideas I have. I'll first of all run it by him and say, "Oh, do you think I should mention this in the group? Or do you want to mention it? What do you think?" He's going for a global meeting. He'll say, "Oh, Sam, what do you think we should do about this?" And then I give him that idea. And then I sit back. Meanwhile, the global head will just drop you a chat to say, "Hi, Sam, I see this idea. I know it's from you because I know how this other guy works." So there's a way it works, but just look for how to manage your boss. That's just all I'll say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Samuel. God bless you, my brother. This is very powerful illustration of the points that both Mrs. Taiwoke and Sharon Faye were just sharing and talking about. Um, please, does
Sorry, can I?
anybody, if they, please go ahead, ma.
Okay, so sorry to cut you. Thank you so much, Samuel. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Mr. Soromfe. Thank you so much. Valid point. I love what you said, Samuel, you know, and I had that similar experience as well. So I know that, my own experience in one of the organizations I joined, I didn't grow with the organization. Actually came in as a director. So, but I realized that immediately I joined, my boss was always like trying to, just kill my work and just anything, just so I saw that, see, this guy is already threatened. There's no is threatened by my presence. I was next to him. I was the only director. And I said, how do I manage this guy? But I noticed something. I discovered that he likes to shine. He likes to shine. So I said, okay, I need to keep passing my work through him. But there was an additional thing I did. I would always pass my work through him. He will vet it. Imagine, vetting the director's work. But I didn't care. I would just pass it through him, let him vet it and all that. But I would still, I made sure that I had a strong, good relationship with my global reporting line. That's my senior vice president and my CEO. So I made sure that those lines were intact. So sometimes what happened eventually was sometimes when I do something and I pass it through him, do you know that in global meetings, my CEO would say, there was not on 2 or 3 occasions, he said, this is Taiwo's work. I know Mrs. Oke did this. This is fantastic. Thank you so much for, for this. And, my boss will be the one presenting, but my CEO would know that this is my work. And that's because, and that's why I said, there's a way you can manage. If you understand, it depends on the organization. If you understand how your organization is, for this organization in particular, the CEO had so much, presence in meetings and all of that. So I knew that, okay, if I just limit my work, showcasing my work to my direct boss, I may not be fully recognized and I may not be visible, which will be bad for my career. So I needed to also, had a good relationship with the CEO. And sometimes he would chat me on WhatsApp and say, oh, Taiwo, let's, and that's it. The ability to understand everybody, understand the organization, so that nobody in particular, because of their own insecurities, limits you. You can spread your tentacles and say, okay, I must have a solid relationship with people in my global community as well, so that they already know, even if this particular boss wants to fire or wants to do something, they can come to my rescue. So that's really it.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Okay. This is really powerful. And I think it's important that we understand that both our facilitators are trying to emphasize this outlook. As a young person who rose very fast in his career, I did not do any of the things they were saying, and it cost me significantly. So as my word to us listening is that as much as we can, we should apply every effort to prioritize what they are saying. This is actually the entire work. There are people who have great global careers, and this is all they know. They know zilch about the technical work, but they know how to manage their bosses and they know how to keep cohesion in the organization. And so it's important. It's super important that we pay attention to this, go back to the recording, reflect on it, and adapt it into our processes, even though we can't really see the outcomes at the moment. Take it from me. This is very powerful stuff. Thank you, everybody. Are there any other questions from our listeners? Does anybody have contribution or a question?
No, sir. No, sir. There is this, I think, Lopez or someone raised his hand.
I missed it. Please, if you raised your hand, please go ahead. Whoever raised their hand, please go ahead and ask your question. Okay. All right. If there are no questions, I will go ahead and ask one more question that I have. Okay, let me go ahead and ask my question. So in more ways than one, are there as a young person? So some of these things you both Mr. Shoromfe Mrs. Okay are sharing are not things that are immediately within our reach. Like, I mean, so what I mean is that they are sharing stuff from deep experience, and it's not often, or we are not always fortunate to be in a forum where people are discussing things like this. Is there any corpus? For example, Mrs. Oke shared from John C. Maxwell. So I'm wondering if there are any books or any corpus that both our facilitators or our facilitators have read that they can share that we can go back to dig into. There's a very powerful saying. You may not have access to the author, but you can have access to his book, and it doesn't have to be there 24 hours of the day, but the book will be there. Is there any corpus, any book, any material you guys have studied? Like someone shared 48 Laws of Power. It's been on my mind to go get a copy. I read it a long time ago, and I've been wondering I should probably go get it. Now that he's mentioned it again, I'm taking it as instruction to just go and pick it up. But is there any other book that either of our moderators or resources that they have that they could share that we could go study that could probably contribute to us being better leaders? Mrs. Taiwo, could you please go ahead first, and then Mr. Shurumfe next? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So I'm reading a book now. I don't know if I would have sent a picture, but my phone is not here. So it's Control Your Destiny or Someone Else Will. It's a leadership book. It's the unofficial General Electric leadership handbook. So it's a fantastic book. I just started reading it 2 days ago, actually, by Noel Tichy and Stratford Sherman. I can put that in the chat box. But it's a fantastic book. I've picked a lot of lessons there myself. It's a leadership book. Then I am a 100% fan of John Maxwell, and that's because of his simplicity, really, the way he teaches leadership. So any John Maxwell's book, there are a lot of John Maxwell's books on leadership, So I would recommend any John Maxwell's book on leadership. Is fantastic, is basic enough. Anybody would explain the basics, would understand the basics of leadership there. So that's my recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you
On my
so
end, I've read a number of books, but I have like little ideas from different books. I read a lot of Nassim Taleb, and I like a lot of his thinking, and I apply it to life and to leadership. Some of the books that talk about what's his name, Malcolm Gladwell, the guy that wrote Thinking Fast and Slow. I think that's the title. But there are a number of different books across which the general idea of how life works, and that's the thing, right? So in terms of what you're doing with work and
Hello, Shurumfe. Did we lose Shurumfe, or can you hear him? Or was that me?
I think we lost him because I
sorry,
thought
I
he
think
was on the
I dropped
call.
off for a bit. Can you hear me now?
Okay, yeah, we can hear you
Yes,
now.
sir.
Hello, can you hear me now? Yeah, okay, sorry, that
Yes,
was
we
from
can
my
hear you.
end. So I was just saying that a lot of those books have little ideas that I have put together to share what I shared today. But a lot of what I have learned by the things that I have suffered. So that would probably be my recommendation. Read wide, more or less.
Thank you, sir. I was intrigued by your inclusion of Nassim Talib. I'm also a very huge fan of Nassim, and my wife thinks that he contributed greatly to how abrasive I ended up being because Nassim can be very, very short fused. But thank you so much, sir. I'm so grateful. Does anybody else have questions?
I think there's a question on the chat. Maybe I can help you to read it out. Someone said,
Thank
I think the person's name is Efe. He says, please, can any of the speakers shed more insights on how to leave an organization amicably, especially when the senior leaders really want you to stay? I hope you got it, Tosa.
Yes,
Hello,
yes,
can I?
we did. Yes, please, we did. Um,
All right.
uh, please, Shoromfe, you first, how would you respond to this question? How do you exit an organization in an amicable manner, especially when the leaders are making every effort to retain? Thank you.
So the first thing I would say is to use the book title that Mrs. Tywalker just shared, right? I think she said "Control Your Destiny or Others Will" or something like that, right? So the first thing is to be very clear about where you're going in life and why you're taking the step you're taking. People, I want to say this the right way. People don't love you more than they love themselves, right? So the fact that somebody is passionately asking you to stay, that they believe in you, that they see a future in you, and all of that is good, but should not be a factor in whether you're deciding to stay somewhere or not, right? The reason you choose to leave an organization may be better growth opportunities, whatever it is, whatever calculations you've done. And it's okay for you to be wrong. You can always course correct. But what you must, the question I always tell people, and I'll come to the how to leave, but the question I always say is, if you stayed in that organization and it didn't play out the way that they're all promising you to play out, if you blame anybody else apart from yourself, then you should go, right? At the end of the day, you are fully responsible for the outcomes of the situations you find yourself in. So take ownership. Whether you choose to stay or you choose to go, you have to take ownership, right? And if you know that you're staying because somebody else has sworn something to you or promised something to you, and outside of that person's promise, you would have gone, then basing your career on a person's promise is not a very intelligent way to approach career building, right? Now, how should you do it once you've made up your mind? Ensure that you are not abrasive. It is okay for people to be hurt that you're leaving. I was once leaving an organization and the CEO stopped speaking, relatively stopped speaking to me, bumped into him once, and that was it. And this was somebody that we used to talk regularly. I used to share strategy with him, and it's totally fine. They're human beings too. They had dreams for all the work, amazing work you will do for them that you're now leaving and they don't know who they will give it to. So it's fine for them to be hurt. What you need to do is to make sure that from your own part you are unabrasive, right? Smile, be cordial, be respectful, leave on a good note in the sense of make sure that work that you were meant to do you have done, right? Again, you don't need anybody to manipulate you, but make sure you, and they can still tell you whatever they're going to say, but just make sure that when you evaluate how you have conducted yourself through that period, that you are definitely above board. I personally believe that if you have told an organization that you are going to leave, irrespective of what they offer you, you should leave. That's my personal opinion, right? Because oftentimes, if you had to tell them that you were going to leave for them to now increase your salary and give you a perk or promote you or whatever it is very unlikely that if you choose to stay, you would have the sort of respect and dignity that you would require, right? So it's better to just move on to the next thing, and go on from there. That's my recommendation. So in terms of how to do it, be firm, but be cordial, right? So I'm leaving the organization. I understand that it has been a very difficult decision for me, as I see it is also for you, but I think that this is the right time. I have my reasons for doing it. You don't need to share those reasons with them. That's what you share with your mentor or somebody who is guiding you through your career, but not with them. And you just say, you know what, so I'm leaving at this point. Oh no, I'm very sorry, I will not be able to. But I'm happy to do a lot of work, help complete this and that before I finally I get to my last day here with you. It's been such an amazing experience working with you. It has been the best 3 years of my career, all the other things that you say. But again, be resolute, right? You can't prevaricate. They can't make you an offer and you say, okay, let me go back and think about it and come back and think about it again. You then come off as being as not being convinced about the decision you're taking.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Mrs. Taiwo, okay, please, do you have any contributions to make in response to this person's question, please? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Soronfe. See, my own first principle, and I'm going to be as blunt as possible: love your life. See, CEOs will say heaven and earth, and I love CEOs. I've worked with a lot of them. They will promise you I've heard a million and one things like, do you want a stake in this company? Do you see? At the end of the day, it's first your life. But while loving your life, make sure that you don't burn bridges. Very, 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 very critical. We've all made mistakes, but I would say that it's a pyramid. So the top is very small. We know each other. We all know each other there. Don't burn bridges. Be very careful because where you're going to, your current CEO and your new CEO might actually be best of friends and you will not even know. So don't burn bridges. Be a master at emotional intelligence. Manage them. There's a way you can manage people. They will know that this person can this person can manage. I would say that 98% of the CEOs I've worked for, they are on my WhatsApp. We chat all the time, we gist, we hang out once in a while. Because and sometimes I need to pull something through. I pick their brains once in a while. So you need to understand that life is about relationships. See, life is from my own experience, life is 70% relationships, 30% certificates at the top. Yeah, because you will always need recommendations most times. You will need recommendations. You will need to pick people's brains. You will want to enter somewhere and you must know somebody who knows somebody. You will need somebody to, let me share a very short illustration. I checked this and I'm not for any party. I checked the inaugural party for the president and I saw a particular company on the invite, and I said, "Oh, really?" And I know the CEO of that company. So in my mind, I was trying to achieve something for my organization. Guess who I called? I had to call the CEO that, Shebi, the minister. I saw that you were part of your company was part of the companies that sponsored this party now. And I got that contact at the snap of my finger. That is it. Life is about relationships. That top is about relationships. You don't want to slam the door. You want to close it gently. You want to manage them. You can, me, I've bullshitted people before. Sorry for the use of my language. CEOs, and walked away. But I know better now. I know better now that you will need people. You will need people. And most times when you are at the top, at the C-suite, wherever you are, what you need is recommendations. Recommendations. You will need people to talk to somebody for you and all of that to get businesses. Maybe because I am a business person. So you will always need people. And just manage that relationship. Make sure that you can wake up tomorrow and chat with your manager or your CEO and you guys are good. But at the same time, it is your life. You have to. You know what is good for you. So make the move if you have to. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma. I want to hug you through, but there's no hug emoji or teams. This is the truth, and it's the gospel truth. Um, to be honest, I've been in a situation now. My organization, my institution has been in a situation for 3 years, and the reason we are in that situation is because literally everybody but one person withheld their recommendation. Contracts have been prepared, everything drawn up. Has been cooling in the bank for 3 years. It didn't move because no recommendations.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
True.
it will be literally be like you are in limbo. It will be like it's like no father, no mother. So you may actually end up quoting Melchizedek for like 3 years before you will see deliverance. So I beg you, what Mrs. Oke and Sharon Fair are saying, they are extremely valuable.
It's not that your CV and your skill sets, your know-how and your ability to power through, your IQ, your talent, your elocution skills are not relevant. They are relevant. But you see, what anchors everything is that reference button. Who is recommending you? Like one of my friends said years ago, because we are both in this thing together. He was like, oh boy, now I understand that what do you know is not the same level of power as who sent you. Who sent you is so critical. And as young people, that is usually where we are weakest because we haven't been in the space long enough to build these relationships. Thank you so much to both of you again. Thank you. Please, are there any other questions or any other considerations? We are about wrapping up. We are just about done with this session. We have only room for one more question. If there's none, I'll hand over to the group. Okay, I'll hand over to the group leader, Buki. If you are online,
Yeah,
please.
yes, I'm here. Thank you very kindly, Mr. Moderator. Thank you. Did well. You did exceedingly well. Thank you very much. And special thanks to our facilitators. Thank you very much, Mr. Taiwo. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. I understand you have a very busy schedule. I will
Thank you
push
so
this
much.
several times. Thank you. My regards to the
Sorry.
family. My regards to your
Thank you so much.
children. Thank you so much. My Oga Soromfe, thank you very much. I understand that you also have a very tight schedule. Thank you for creating time to do this. Thank you very much. Thank you,
My
everyone, to all
pleasure.
our. Thank you. And we're having another session next week, Saturday. And we'll be sharing the details of the speaker and everything you need to know. So share it and you'll get your invite. Thank you, everyone. Do have a beautiful and lovely holiday. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, bye everyone. Thank you for the
Bye,
lovely
everyone.
session.
All right, bye.
Thank,
Thank you so
bye.
much, everyone. I
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
so much. Appreciate it.
Bye, everyone.